Hello, you're watching PlayStation Access. My name is Dave, and I'm joined today by Nath.
Hello.
And Nath, this video is 5 things we love about Firewatch.
Yeah.
We played this yesterday for the first time.
Yeah.
The game split into days. We played through day 1 and 2.
Yes.
And I've come to the conclusion that we do love Firewatch.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, what should we call this? Well, we love it. So let's talk about that.
It was actually something we suspected all along and were proved right.
Yeah, I'm really glad that it's living up to the things that I hoped it would do. You know, like it's engaging in a way. Like it's really kind of simple, but still like emotional.
Yeah.
I like it.
We should quickly say that it's a game being made by a new studio called Campo Santo.
Yeah, I guess so. The key thing to say is that a couple of the guys at Campo Santo were behind The Walking Dead Season 1 at Telltale. So the same kind of quite surprising, choices and emotional depth in that game. That's what I was hoping to find here, but in this kind of first-person, more exploration-y setting.
Yeah.
And that's what there is.
Yeah,
what
there
is that, Dave?
Just right on cue. So the first thing that we love about Firewatch is Henry, the protagonist,
right? Yeah.
Who we're playing as, and his whole backstory and how that sort of filtered through to you.
Yeah, we don't want to kind of tell everyone about the very beginning of the game, but it's basically a very simple. You're not even really playing it. It's just a little kind of text story.
Yeah.
To sort out his background, and it sounds really simple, but it was really, really effective, and we were both pretty bummed out.
And there's a couple of choices in it that you can make. And straight away it was just the classic. You don't know what the answer is. You don't know what's right and wrong. Yeah. It just makes it your game,
and it also makes it like life. I'm not sure what's best here.
Yeah,
that's happened.
So something Henry anyway decides to get away from it all. Yeah. So he takes a job here as a fire watchman, which is something they have in America to look out for forest
in the national parks.
Fires.
Yeah.
And what's good about it is that you, the player, are sort of in the same place as Henry, in as much as he's not trained in this. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know anyone. It's his first day on the job. You're thrown in, and you know as much about being a fire watchman as he does.
With that beginning, then when you get into this really open kind of landscape, it does feel like, thank God.
Exactly.
Well, there's a little clue.
Yes, that's right.
Henry.
Don't worry about that. So this brings us on to point number 2, which is, I suppose, your best friend. It's seemingly from the start, who is a voice on the other end of your trusty radio.
Yeah, this is Delilah.
And I guess it's really the relationship that you have with Delilah. I just think it's brilliant.
I do as well. And well, just a kind of tiny bit of background. The actual mechanic of speaking to Delilah, you can see there on screen, is using this walkie-talkie. She's your supervisor. The guys from Campo Santo were talking about how, having played BioShock, that the possibilities of building a relationship with people, with someone that you never see, but kind of all through audio, and then obviously that kind of, I think, branched with their experience of doing stuff in The Walking Dead with kind of dialogue. But I think that's what I'm just saying, like BioShock was kind of an influence here.
Yeah.
And also there's like a really tactile sense of pressing the shoulder buttons on the DualShock to make your choices and press and.
Yeah, I really like that. It's a slightly unusual kind of system, because you expect you're going to be going up and down, with like the D-pad or something, and selecting with X, but it's all done with the triggers, which I really did like.
Delilah's just cool. That's the thing to say. So 2 things I would say. Delilah's cool, and they very quickly. Sean Vanneman, I think, is the writer, and he has just done such a good job of making me really like Delilah. Like, you're out in the wilderness, she is irreverent, she doesn't really take you that seriously, but she can, when the conversations that we've had, only at the beginning of the game really, still, get a bit sad and kind of probe into your history. But she seems like someone you could have a beer with. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But also I think it's smart. I think the writing is excellent, and I love Delilah, but it also gives you an opportunity to get to know and love Henry as well.
Yeah, because of his little kind of curmudgeonly responses.
Exactly, and it's great, like the way he talks to her. Obviously without her, there's really not a lot for him to say. He's not talking to anybody. And I think it would be quite a lonely game without Delilah. You could, and there's a lot of choice as well in the way that you deal with Delilah. We're seeing here, there's lots of things that you can report back to her on your walkie-talkie.
It starts to feel a bit needy, doesn't it? Delilah, I found a can.
Yeah, I just want to talk to her all the time. But likewise, you cannot tell her any of this stuff.
That's true. But I was going to say though, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the Bioshock and the possibilities of that relationship and the power dynamic of it.
Yeah.
And because we do want Delilah to like us, and there was a point where she got a bit impatient with us, and that was like, I felt bad until she came back. And also, you are like the power relationship. She's not only because she's your boss, but because she's the only person you talk to. And there is kind of a looming kind of sense of what if about this game, and maybe a bit of danger. If she, I have no hint that Delilah is a bad person or anything, but there are just little, like, there was a couple of things which made me realise, if Delilah's bad, I mean, that's really bad.
Well, I've surrendered myself to her in a way. Like, we've just instantly...
we're alone without her.
And this is the bit, actually, where we annoyed Delilah, and you can see she stepped away, and instantly I felt just terrible. and just the fact as well that there isn't anyone to talk to then. You can't call her up on the radio right away.
Banging on her.
Just banging on her gate. It's really, really smart, and I thought that was it's a cool relationship that I'm looking forward to exploring a bit further.
Agree.
So we've spoken a lot about choice. There's also choice in the way that you deal with, like, the situations that you're...
This is our number 3.
This is number 3.
Choices?
This is our next one. Yeah, it's sort of the choices. I guess this is something you would expect from the people who largely made The Walking Dead.
Not just that, but like all of Idle Thumbs, which is their podcast, is kind of, it was a forum, and now it's like but there's like a real, they love adventure games, like old like LucasArts style ones.
Yeah.
Like, try and combine this with this.
Yeah, and it's one of those games again where you have to approach it not like a game but like a person in this situation. I mean, I came to this situation right here, which is dealing with some dealing with some teenage girls who are causing trouble, and I just went through the motion of had the conversation with them. You threw their boombox into the lake to get their attention, and
that is a solution, but there are consequences for that later on, and hopefully that's not the most sophisticated, what's number 4?
This is I've put it as navigating the world with a map and a compass, but that has sort of wider implications.
I wanted to go for the bigger title of The Outside.
I mean, and this is a game very much about the outside. I guess it's almost a little bit like the character, especially because you spend so much time interacting with it, with the map, like this, and you get the names of the places. I think it's also very recognisable. They've got a lot of landmarks, and the areas seem very different. I think you're going to come to know this park very well. But I just love using the map and the compass to get around.
Well, as soon as they said go west is one of the first things you have to do. Go and search, and you're like, which way? Map, tell me which way is west. And then he pops, like a little compass pops up, and you're like, oh man, like I'm actually going orienteering in this game. And what I like about it, because at the beginning, and this is why I think the game is, I have faith and confidence in the kind of the caliber of the game. The things that it did at the beginning to set up Henry's character, which then made me kind of embrace the kind of the peace and the solitude of the outdoors. They then go along with like the kind of the other side of that is the outdoors is you're alone. This is pre-internet. You don't have a mobile phone. You've only got Delilah. Again, that strengthens the kind of power of that relationship, and you kind of get a sense of like surviving on your own wits, even though all that Henry has to do is walk up and down a bit at the moment. Like there's this idea of you have to. There is a little marker on the map, but you are still map reading. And at one point it gets dark, and we were worried.
Absolutely.
Like, I think you're right. By getting something that happens every day.
I think
by definition,
you're absolutely right. You've hit the nail on the head. Like by going back in time a little bit, just to the late 80s, there are the sort of safety of modern things that we understand, like you said, like mobile phones, and that safety has been taken away. And also, quite smartly, they've taken away a lot of safety nets from games as well. Like there's no objective. There wasn't like a constant reminder of what am I supposed to be doing now. You have to listen to Delilah and pay attention.
That's true.
There are markers on the map, but you have to
remember a code. You love remembering a code.
That's one of my favourite things in games, when it gets to makes you remember stuff rather than just holding your hand. The last thing is the mystery of the game. It is a deep mystery that it's just really, really compelling.
I like that it's subtle. The things that we've discovered so far, all that we know is we saw that guy that we've just seen on screen, and immediately we were like, who's that guy? And Delilah was like, well, you're outdoors, man. Like it's just someone in the park who's allowed to be there. But I like how when you set up the tension of, hey, outside is pretty scary, and also you're emotionally desolate for a reason, and you've only got one person to speak to in the world, it doesn't take much to kind of to unbalance me or to raise the stakes.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
I think it goes back to, like I was saying, you're being thrown into the same situation as Henry here. Like, everything is mysterious. You know, Delilah, she's mysterious. The park is mysterious. The figures that you meet are mysterious.
Yeah.
And there's other things that come in. Like, everything is just new and adds to the mystery.
I think you're right. I think that it's that sense of, like you said, it removes the safety net of games somewhat, and also because of who Henry is, there's no sense that you're anybody except a guy whose life has gone a bit wrong and has tried to escape from it. You don't have any skills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have any weapons. It's like, just sort this out. It's like, oh man. It's like when, you know, in my life, if like I get a problem with my car, I'm like, oh god, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I was in a game, I'd fix it with a gun. And I think that Henry is that kind of protagonist. He's the kind of protagonist who these very sort of small things happen to him, and it's a drama. It's a big deal, and you care about him because the game has already made you care about him.
Exactly.
Look at this. This is his drama.
I know. So that's Firewatch. It's a game that we have really, really enjoyed our time with so far, and I'm going to be going back to it when it comes out in February. Yeah,
the game's coming out on February the 9th on PlayStation 4, and we will be playing it again. Put in the comments if you'd really like to see more on Firewatch, or if you've got any specific questions. Do like this video if you've enjoyed it, or if you like the look of Firewatch. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we have always got loads more coming up.